Thank you, Jumoke.
All right. Ambassador, can you hear me? Let's continue this conversation quickly. Can you hear me, sir?
Okay. No. Yes, I can. I can hear you.
All right. But like I was saying, what kind of African leadership or governance models do you think the Trump administration is trying to promote or reward? I mean, some say countries like Kenya is outpacing Nigeria in foreign diplomacy. Do you agree?
Okay, that's fine. I think that what Trump is trying to do, like I said, he has not been very friendly with dealing at multilateral level. What Trump has tried to do is to deal with one-on-one. He feels it's better for him to find, less complex African economies and then sit down and have trade deals and have, enter into bilateral relations with them. That's what I've seen, that is posturing. To what extent he will continue to do that, ignoring, the powerhouse of the continent, it's left to be seen. But from all indication, I can clearly see that his direction is try as much as possible to find ways of, dealing with less complex African countries. I think that's his position and that's his posturing. But we're watching to see what the impact will be because, he's come to talk to five countries, leaders of smaller West African countries in the form of Liberia, Mauritania, some of these economies that depend largely on Nigeria, for example. Most of the economic activity in Guinea-Bissau, for example, are largely dependent on what's going on in Nigeria as well. So I can see him trying to pass the message of dissatisfaction of Nigeria's sympathy towards BRICS. I think that's the message he's trying to pass, But the point is made, from the diplomatic perspective or from the point of view of international relations, I don't think we need to react or confront, him, by any chance. I think Nigeria needs to be clear as to what it wants, and Nigeria needs to be very strategic, very calm, very assertive at the same time, global, but Africa first in tone, So as far as Nigeria is concerned, while we are sympathetic to BRICS, it's also very clear that we also do not have any challenge with our relations with America, and I think that point has to be made.
Right, so if you were advising Mr. President today, what would you say to manage both international and domestic relations?
Well, my advice is very simple. The word or the common balance or what you hear every now and then in the field of diplomacy is reciprocity. First is that there's a need to actually engage actively with Washington on what is going on, explore back channels, sit down with the Department of State, and that's where the role of ambassadors come in. There has always, in the case of the visa restriction we had, there was a statement that was released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying that already the engagement with the U.S. Embassy and the United States government have already commenced. So I think that there will be back channels to sit down and, eyeball to eyeball, and then find a way to understand first why the exclusion, what are the concerns of America, and then Nigeria on our own part should be able to clearly state our interest, because the fact that we have aligned or we are showing some sympathy towards BRICS does not necessarily mean that we are in any way standing in confrontation with America. I think that point has to be made, and I believe that the responsibility lies with those that are responsible. An ambassador needs to be out there doing the bidding for Nigeria and addressing all of these issues with Washington.
All right. So the Minister of Interior has met with the U.S. envoy. So clearly there are ongoing talks between the two governments to harmonize visa policies and restore more favorable terms for Nigerians. And hopefully that is resolved. But in a related development, Ambassador, how important is it for Nigeria to align more closely with BRICS, given the global power dynamics? Do you see BRICS as a credible counterbalance to Western-dominated institutions like the IMF and World Bank? And where does Nigeria fit in that conversation?
Sorry, Olajumoke, I didn't hear that.
Did you get that? Did you get that question? No. So I was reiterating the fact that the Minister of Interior has met with the U.S. envoy.
Yes.
So clearly there are ongoing talks between the two governments on the visa issue and restore more favorable terms for Nigeria.
Yes.
And hopefully that is resolved. But in a related development, I want us to talk about BRICS because you had highlighted it so many times on the program tonight. How important is it for Nigeria to align more closely with BRICS, given the current shift in global power dynamics? Do you see BRICS as a credible counterbalance to Western-dominated institutions? You look at the IMF and the World Bank, and also where does Nigeria fit in that conversation?
Well, I'm still assuming I understand what you're talking about. It's basically talking about counterbalancing between the BRICS, and then against the Bretonwoods institution, if I understand. Is that your question?
Yes. Yes, Ambassador.
Well, yes. Well, as far as BRICS are concerned, we are looking at alternative ways of doing things. For example, BRICS, we're talking about, China, Russia, India, and quite a lot of other member countries. Nigeria is not yet a full member of BRICS. Nigeria is a partner country to BRICS. There are some rights we don't even have. For example, in a BRICS meeting, we cannot vote, but we are part of attending some technical sessions. And China is a very strong partner to Nigeria in terms of trade. I'm not sure that there's another country that trades more with us than China. So quite a lot of these countries that we are involved in, economic activities with are also there. So it affords Nigeria an opportunity to engage better with those countries. And now this also hasn't stopped us from our engagement with the Bretton Woods institution, whether it is the World Bank or the IMF. So I understand, the fear or Trump's challenge has always been that, every policy of BRICS is to try to counter what the US dollar is doing, which is a point that is valid. But as a developing nation, as Nigeria, we are open to finding partners from anywhere in the world. If it is China that we can sit down and have a good conversation and have a good trade relations with, why not? It doesn't stop us from engaging Russia. It doesn't stop us from engaging, the United States of America. But you see, time has also come because, Trump has passed a very strong message. So I also think that while we engage on these diplomatic activities, it's also important for us to also look at the optics, also weigh all of these issues, and then try to find a way of presenting our position very, very clearly. We have never at any particular point in time refused relations, with the Bretton Woods institution. No, we haven't. In fact, we always engage every now and then. In fact, World Bank have got an office here in Nigeria. So we are not afraid of engaging at that level. But what is important for us is to be able to explain that our involvement with this country does not in any way jeopardize our involvement with the Bretton Woods institution or the policies that America would want to drive. But again, this is diplomacy. This is international relations. We will always have those channels. What is important is that we open those channels and we continue to engage. And I believe that at some point we'll be able to find a solution that will be lasting, because, from what it is, America has made it very clear that a lot of countries that are pro-BRICS are anti-American, so to say. But in the case of Nigeria, I honestly do not think that that is the situation. And it is, while we engage, I will try to explain these issues to say that this is Nigeria's position in all of this. But is there a need to work on the optics? Perhaps there's a need to work on the optics and be able to try to engage, to be able to convince them that, we are not anti-American in any way. America and Nigeria have had a very long bilateral relations. Nigerians and diaspora in the United States of America are actively contributing to the growth of the United States of America. There is quite a lot of, good relations that we have had over the years. Even on the visa issue, for example, I also think that,
visa issue in a moment, Ambassador,
yes.
Let me ask you a direct question. Should Nigeria seek full membership in BRICS?
Do what?
Should Nigeria seek full membership in BRICS?
Do Nigerians do what in BRICS?
Should Nigeria seek full membership in BRICS or just maintain this strategic cooperation?
No, I think that we should actually remain as partner members, member nation. Let's actually still observe what is going on and begin to further participate and see what benefits there are, even as a partner state. So if we are benefiting from it, then we'll obviously know, and then we'll be able to see the need for us to engage further. I mean, we were just invited January 2025 to become a partner state. It was an invitation that was extended to us, which we have looked at, and we are actually trying to analyze. We are participating now, to be able to see if there are benefits, and if there is none. But I believe that there should always be benefits. I mean, you cannot run away from an economy like China. Their diplomacy in Africa is spot on. They are very clear on what they intend to do. They engage even effectively better, if you ask me, than even some of these, Western states and all of that. But this is not the time to talk about it. I think that we should look at opportunities that are available for us at BRICS. And then if it's worth us becoming full member, we will go ahead and do that. It's actually not the responsibility of individuals. But of course, every government comes with their foreign policy, and the president, BRICS seems to align with his foreign policy, 4D foreign policy program that talks about development, demography, diaspora, and so on. So I think that what is happening is in line with what he wants, but whether that will lead to full membership, time will tell. It's a presidential prerogative, and we'll look at it and see what happens. But for now, there are opportunities for us to engage at bilateral level. There are side level meetings. There are also, technical sessions that Nigeria has been taking part of. So we wait and see how that benefits us in the long run.
All right. So about the U.S. Reciprocity visa policy, is this a reflection of broader diplomatic tensions between both countries, or is it simply a matter of procedural fairness tied to how Nigeria treats U.S. citizens?
No. It's actually, this has now been widely misinterpreted in so many ways. What America has done, once it comes to tariff, there's a difference between the visa issue and the tariff issue. When it comes to trade, you can deal with tariff to say, okay, you want to slam tariff on goods that are coming from countries that you feel that are not pro-America. That's entirely a different matter altogether. The issue of reciprocity and the visa sanction came as a result of the fact that the U.S. said that constantly they are always reviewing, their policy with respect to their visa policies from country to country. And about 38 countries has been batched, and then they complained of issues relating to overstay, particularly on the visa categories of B1, B2, J, and F or so. Some of these visas, they said that they issued them to citizens of these countries, and then they get into America, they overstay, and there are also integrity processes issues that has to do with our internal processes, verification of documents, etc. And I believe that that was partly the reason why the Minister of Interior had to engage to be able to understand what are the integrity issues, what progress, explaining to the U.S. envoy what progresses that we have made as a nation internally. So these issues are mutually exclusive. In any case, the language in the international level, at that level, at the diplomatic level, is reciprocity. In a normal Nigerian parlance, it is do me, I do you. Whatever you do to me, I also will relate to you that way. So clearly, what the U.S. is saying is that it is in line with their reciprocity policy, but that hasn't happened because the last U.S. administration, there was an approval to start issuing 5 years visa from what it was previously 2 years. And Nigeria has always complied, or rather, if you also read the communique or the press statement that was released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nigeria has also kept to their own part. In fact, Nigeria has done a lot more than the U.S. because Nigeria, in addition to the 5 years non-immigrant visa policy, we've also gone ahead to open to grant e-visas to the citizens of the United States of America coming to Nigeria. So you can actually apply and then get your approval electronically and then walk into Nigeria, which is actually not what is happening for our non-immigrant visa applications for Nigerians that are going to the United States of America. So what I see, or what I envisage will happen, is that now that the U.S. have taken this turn, Nigeria will also respond, by also issuing the same 3-month single entry visa, while we now continue to engage diplomatically to now begin to look at what concerns they have, and that's basically
so,
the responsibility
again, Ambassador,
of ambassadors.
Let me put you on the spot.
Sit down and look at the issues.
About engaging diplomatically. If you were appointed Nigerian ambassador to the U.S., how would you communicate on behalf of Nigeria?
Well, it's the truth of the matter is that no matter how strong you are as a nation, you must always realize and understand that the other country you're dealing with is a sovereign state. So clearly, yes, it's a big economy. Yes, it's the United States of America. But again, this is also Nigeria. This is the strongest. This is the most populous black nation on the face of the earth. This is the largest economy in Africa. So Nigeria is by no means a small country. This is the leader in the African continent. So we must always come with mutual respect on the table. What are the issues Nigerians are overstaying? What are the issues? There are integrity processes with respect to documentations that we take to the embassy. We will sit back and then find a way, put timelines in ensuring that these issues are resolved. These are diplomatic problems, and it also will require a diplomatic solution. We will need to sit down with Washington, understand what the issues are, let them table it clearly. It's not a rocket science. Like I said, I understand these two issues as a major issue. Working internally with the Ministry of Interior, I mean, when you talk about documents, it's maybe, the banking documents that they present for the visa, the passport issues and all of that. Nigeria has improved a lot. The Minister of Interior has done a lot of work alongside with immigrations to be able to strengthen our passport processes. Right now, we are trying to even go to iris, using facial recognitions and all of that. You can even see that when people come into Nigeria, they just, there's an electronic way of now coming into Nigeria than the old way of, which is much an improved processes in comparison to what we always had. Nigeria have made a lot of progress, but we must always sit down and look at ourselves, understand what the issues are with the United States, and then be able to provide solutions. And I believe that these issues are very much resolvable within a very limited period of time.
All right then, Ambassador, this is a developing story, and as always, we'll be here to monitor the developments. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Elijah Yagba is a former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. God bless you and God bless Nigeria.
And thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that the views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News NG. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Good night, everyone.